Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach, friends, and I have to ask the question: why are Black Americans so concerned about what's going on outside their neighborhood and what politicians outside their neighborhood are doing? And before I continue, I want to thank everybody who is a Patreon, who's on my Patreon, and for supporting me in that format, and also that supports this channel on YouTube. I want to thank everybody who subscribed to this channel. And if you're not a subscriber, come on over, hit that subscribe button at the bottom. We do videos on spirituality, relationships, politics, everything. So I love everybody for being here. I appreciate it. If you're over on Facebook and you're watching this, please go over to YouTube. And even if you keep watching this on Facebook, just subscribe. Do me that favor and subscribe. So, first, to everybody who's lost family members, anybody who's suffering in Syria from the bombings done by the Syrian government and now done by America, and if later bombings come from Americans or Russians, or if that becomes a war zone between Americans and Russians, I feel so bad for anybody who's losing their family right now or who's suffering. I do. But, so this video is not against you. Really has nothing to do with you. You just happen to be in the way. And I have to say this. Black Americans, why do you care so much? Why are you so focused? You get so focused on what's going on in other people's countries. You get so focused on what's going on outside your neighborhood. You put so much energy into what 45 is doing. You put so much energy into what 44 was doing, and 43, and 42, and 41, and so on and so forth. But you're not paying attention to your own neighborhood. It's a shame that the people in Syria right now, that these families are going through what they're going through. It's a shame that their government will even use chemical warfare against their own people. It's a shame, right? And you're so concerned about that. You're so concerned. You're writing apology letters saying that our government is out of control, and that, you know, you're apologizing for America bombing them, and you're apologizing for that. You're not apologizing for Syria's own government bombing them with chemical warfare. You're not apologizing for that, but you're so concerned about that. But let me ask you a question. Where else is there chemical warfare going on? The people in Flint, Michigan are still drinking poison lead water. Who's going to bomb America for poisoning their own people? Where is your attention in that? But your attention is so focused on what's going on in somebody else's neighborhood, somebody else's yard. You're that person that's looking across the street, looking through somebody else's window, and you got everything to say about what's going on in that house while your house is on fire. Why? Why are you so focused on that? This is not affecting you at all. This is not going to benefit you. If America stops and apologizes, and then America sends so much money over there to fix stuff, build stuff up, how does that benefit you? How does that help you? What does that do as far as the terrorism that's going on in your neighborhood? What does that do for the 2 black men who went to have coffee at Starbucks and now they're getting kicked out? They got arrested. I'll do a separate video about that one. But what does that do for you? You're so focused on all these other things, but there's still cops killing black men in the streets. It's still going on. But you're so focused on Syria and what 45 is doing. Let me ask you another question. Let me ask you another question, because I'm going to keep this video short. Let me ask you another question. What affects you more? What's going on in Syria right now? Or the Arab, Asian, or Indian person who came into your neighborhood? They opened up a hair care product store. They opened up a chicken wing place. They opened up a pizza joint. They opened up a Chinese restaurant, Asian restaurant. They opened up the gas station. They're making millions of dollars off your community, and they're taking it right out of your community. Why is it that they can come into your community and open up a business and make millions of dollars, but if another black person come into your community, they can't make millions of dollars? You can't go support them like you support Arabs and Asians and Indians in your community. Yet you're so focused on what's going on in Syria. You got so much to say about 45 and what he's doing over in Syria. But in your own neighborhood, you're getting financially bombed. In your own neighborhood, your schools are falling apart. In your own neighborhood, you have inadequate police protection. In your own neighborhood, you can't build up each other, but yet you're worried about what's going on in Syria. You're worried about whether or not Putin and 45 are in disagreement. You're worried about what 45 and Korea does. You're worried about that. When somebody spoke ill against 44, you were so concerned about that. You used that they treating him worse than any other president ever. They're treating him worse than any other president ever. But yet, your own neighborhood is being used like a commodity. It's like somebody pulled up and they just hit that ATM machine, pulled that slot machine handle, and just raking cash out of your community. Somebody like you come in and try to pull that hammer in your community, and all of a sudden only pennies drop out. But you're so concerned about what's going on in Syria. Black Americans, you pull your head out your ass. Plain and simple. I know my videos don't always strike that popular chord because I just tell you exactly what it is. And people don't like to hear exactly what it is. But the sad thing about it is this. You're so concerned about Syria in 45 that you're not even paying attention to the fact that you're being poisoned in your own community. You got high diabetes rate. You got high blood pressure rates. You got poison coming into your own communities and you're not doing anything about it. They're using marijuana laws to lock everybody up. But yet white people are making money and hand over fist selling marijuana. But you're not. You got felonies. You can't even leave this country. Think about it. You're a prisoner to America even when you're not in prison because you have a felony that doesn't allow you to get a passport. You can't even leave. You can't go anywhere. You got to go through hell and high water to get out of this country. You're a prisoner, a commodity. But you worried about what's going on in Syria. When are we going to wake up? When are you going to wake up? When are we going to wake up, black people? This is why I'm spearheading this move to Botswana, because we have to wake up. And I'm only, if you're not awoke, if you're not awake, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Now, if you want to stay here, even though I'm going to Botswana, if you want to stay here, and if I decided that I was going to stay here, I'm not. But if I decided that I was, then my whole ambition is not to try to fight it. 45 gonna do what 45 do. 46 is gonna do what 46 does. 47 gonna do what 47, 48, 49, and 50. They're gonna keep doing whatever they do. But what they do is based on who's actually sitting at the table. Who's sitting at the table? And that's what you're not getting. You see, many people want to come on here and they're gonna say stuff at the bottom after I say what I'm about to say. Or even already, based on what I've already said. Oh, it's the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, they're the ones doing this. It's the 13 families. They're the ones doing this. It's the Illuminati. They're the ones doing this. It's the Masons. They're the ones doing this. It's all these secret organizations. They're the ones doing this. But let me tell you this. Whether that is true or not, they got seats at the table. Whether it's true or not, they're sitting at the table that determines world events. They're sitting at the table that determines marketplace. They're sitting at the table that determines who lives and who dies. And while you're trying to fight against that with just your words and your marches, you keep getting bludgeoned. You keep getting ignored. Why? Because you're not sitting at the table. If anything, you need to learn how to get a seat at the table. Malcolm X said it beautifully one time. It doesn't matter if you get to sit at the table, but in front of you, everybody has food on their plate, but you have no food on your plate. You're at the table, but with no food. Your voice is crying out. But who's listening? Who's listening? No one. Do you think I care about what the Rothschilds are doing? Or what any other secret organization is doing? About even the organizations that I'm a part of, what they're doing? The only thing I care about is getting a seat at the table. It's getting a seat at the table. Mark my words on this video. I'm saying it right now at 8:50 in this video, that over the next 20 years, I'll be sitting at a different table. And the 20 years after that, I'll be still sitting at another different table, because it's about building yourself, your community. It's about building your power base to sit at the table. And when you're focused, when they distract you with Syria, when they distract you with Korea, North Korea, and you're focused on marching, you're focused on whatever else is, some famous athlete, you're focused on some singer, you're focused on some comedian who couldn't get the same deal as somebody else, you're focused on something that has nothing to do with building your community, you will never sit at the table. You will never sit at the table. And as long as you're not at the table, then your voice is not heard. What you want never gets heard. The benefit to your community never happens. Never happens. So I got to ask you, where's your champion, black people? Where's your champion, black Americans, who's sitting at the table, who's sitting up there for your voice? Now, I'm not talking about these faux ministers who are going to every photo op they can get to and shouting out, because I ain't seen nobody go back to Sacramento and do nothing. I ain't seen nobody up in New York doing nothing. I ain't seen nobody in any of these places where these young men been gunned down and they're not doing a damn thing. But yet, you'll go run behind them every chance you get. We just had everybody running and commemorating Dr. King, and I respect what the man did. But you marched, and what? What happened after that? Nothing. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Nothing happened. Why? Because you have no leadership that's at the table. You have no leadership that sits at the table, because you have no leadership that has power. Now, wherever I go for that country, I will sit at the table with power. And that's the difference. And here's the thing about it. I understand the power that's at the table. I respect the power that's already at the table. You see, the ones who die are the ones who cannot play the game, the one who do not understand the game, and the one who can't build themselves to be a player on the game. You steady being pawns when you need to learn how to be kings and queens. Hell, at least be the bishop or the rook. Get some peace inside of you that got power. But instead, you keep following these leaders. You keep following these weak leaders who are not there to move you, but they're there to trick you, to feed you a pacifier. And think about it. The bottle has food. The pacifier is fake. It's there to just keep you from crying while you're getting zero substance. And that's what you're getting from most of these leaders, is zero substance. Now, a person like me, you can't get behind me. You can't get behind a person like me. If I ran for political office, you wouldn't vote for me, because I would tell you exactly the truth. I tell you exactly what I'm going to do in office and why I'm going to do it. And I would tell every person that if you're not willing to do this in your neighborhood, if you're not willing to back me up on the programs I'm talking about, if you're not willing to do it in your neighborhood, to build yourself, to put your foot on the ground, for you to put your dollar, your money where it belongs, to build your community, if you're not willing to show up for the PTAs and force the schools to do your bidding, if you're not willing to show up at the police precinct to force them to do your bidding, if you're not willing to build your power base in your community, then I will tell you I will pay you zero attention. Zero attention. A man asked me one time, if you're running across the field, it is your duty to bring other people across the field with you. And I told him, I have no duty other than to myself. And for those who want to run with me, I will gladly run with them. For those who are walking and I can run, I will run next to them while they're walking, encouraging them to run. For those who are crawling, I will run next to them, encouraging them to get up and walk so they can get up and run. But for those who are just sitting, I'm not dragging you across the field. If you don't want to do the work, if you don't want to put boots on the ground and get it done, if you can't go and support the businesses in your community, if you can't go and support the businesses that are in your church or in your mosque, if your ministers are not held to task to make sure that they're doing for the community, if you're not hiring the people in your community, if you're not getting financial literacy to own the property in your community, then I can't do a damn thing for you, because that's not how the game is played. It's not how the game is played at all. You got to build your community. You got to build your power base. You got to start where you are. You're a pawn right now. Right now, you're a pawn. And being a pawn, you got some power. You got some move. You got power in numbers. There are more pawns on the board than any other piece in chess. Now, if pawns are used correctly, they build power. So you got to use your pawn power properly. And then from there, you become a knight. You become a rook. You become a bishop. All those people come alongside because they know they need your pawn power. They need your pawn power in order for them to do what they need to do. So if you got a bishop who's not doing right, use your pawn power. If you got knights who are not doing right, use your pawn power. If you got rooks not doing right, use your pawn power. If you got kings and queens who are not doing right, you got to use your pawn power. You got to say, this is where my money is going to go until you do right. This is where my attention is going to go until you do right. So if I was in those positions, but the people aren't doing what's necessary, if they're not doing what's needed, then what? What are you going to do? I can keep on playing the game. Keep playing the game. And that's what most of these politicians do. They come into your neighborhood. They ask you, vote for me, vote for me. They show up at your church. They show up at your mosque. They pray with you. They do all these kinds of things. They sit down. They talk to you. They talk about how we're going to stand against this person or stand against that person. How we're going to bring jobs to this community. But yet you go year after year after year and you don't get nothing. You get nothing. And then you keep voting for them. And then you threaten, we're going to vote you out. Same people keep being in the same office over and over again. You ain't voting nobody out. Bunch of hot air. That's all it is. It's a bunch of hot air. But now they got you looking at Syria. They done pull the okie doke on you. The okie doke. But if you want to change, you got to learn how to play this game. You're not going to change the game. Let's just be honest. The only way you change the game is you have to gain so much power that you have more power than those in charge. And then you win the war of fighting over that power, which is some of these wars is really about. But you win the war of challenging the powers that be, and you win. You have to win. Other than that, you cannot do it from the outside. You will never be able to change it or do it from the outside. So if you truly want to change it, you got to first play the game. Get your seat at the table, get some food on your plate, and then you can change the game. Then eventually, you got to become the cook. You have to become the cook. You see, even those who are sitting at the table, even those who are sitting at the table and they get a plate, even those sitting at the table and they get a plate and then they get some food, guess who makes the food? The chef. Guess who decides what they're going to eat? The chef. You may not think the chef is powerful, but the chef is very powerful because the chef is deciding what you're eating. It's what you're deciding what you're drinking. It's deciding what the tableware looks like. It's deciding what kind of plate you have. The chef is making many decisions behind the scenes that you don't even know that's going on. And you think you got power, but no, it's the chef. Just like the clockmaker decides the clock. Decides what moving pieces and how they'll move. So you got to get your seat at the table. You got to learn how to play the game. Until you do so, you're always going to be getting distracted by Syria. You get distracted by North Korea. You get distracted by whatever else they want to make up later. Soon it'll be Cuba. It'll be Cuba, North Korea, and Iran. It'll be those three next. And you'll just be distracted again. But all the while, Flint, Michigan still don't have water. Puerto Rico still is missing power. All the while, you're still getting brutalized in your neighborhoods. All the while, Arabs and people from India and you got Asian people still moving into your community. And I'm not mad at them. Still coming into your community, make millions of dollars and take it out of your community, and you still keep supporting them. You're ATM. So you're being distracted right now. But all I want to know is, who want to sit at the table? Who want to sit at the table? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who want to sit at the table. I'm not concerned about the masses anymore. I can't. I want to know who wants to sit at this table, right? Who wants to make that move? We're gonna make 2 moves, maybe 3. We may pick a country in the Caribbean. Haiti just got announced that they're going to be joining the African Union. Finally, so Haiti may become a place that we look at to build, to nation build. Botswana is a country definitely going to nation build. And for those who want to stay here, got to build each community. But you're going to be the most difficult. It's far easier for me to take 10,000 people and go to Haiti and nation build. It's far easier for me to go to Botswana and take 10,000 people and start nation building. And then hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions, will follow afterwards. It's far easier for me to go do that in those countries than it is to convince American black people that they got to change the way that they are. They got to change how they spend their money. They got to change how they eat. They got to change how they vote. They got to change how they hold their leaders accountable, from the teacher to the principal, to the police department, to the ministers, to the politicians. Got to change how we treat all these people in order for us to make a difference. It's far easier for me to just take 10,000 people and go to Haiti, 10,000 people go to Botswana, and make those the central points of building, of nation building, than it is to convince 25 million, 30 million, 40 million black Americans that you're just being distracted and you have no power, no seat at the table, that you're like the dog that sits at the end of the table waiting for scraps to fall off. Waiting for scraps to fall off, and then get mad when you see scraps fall at the other end of the table and you can't get it. So I know this video hasn't been as joyful as most of my videos, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Y'all know I'm a straight shooter. I'm just going to tell you exactly what it is. I have no time to be trying to make you feel better and make you feel good. You know, either you're going to do it or you're not. And I realize that most people are just not going to do it. So like I said, I'm only interested in those who are ready to nation build, ready to build something. Ready to say that, you know what, I want a place where my kids can learn. I want a place where my kids can be safe. I want a place where my kids can be proud to walk down the street and be who they are. I want a place where I can truly be free. Truly be free. I want to build a country that steps on the world stage and says that I will not be denied, that you will adhere to my demands. That's what I'm looking at. And my plan, it's not a 5-year plan. It's not a 10-year. It's a 100, 200-year plan, buddy. 200, 100-year plan. 200, 100-year plan to get there, to be what we should be, to live how we should live, to affect the world how the world should be affected. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are motivated to get a seat at the table, because like I said, I get my seat. To all those who empower now who may see this video, I understand the game. I'm coming for my seat. I'm coming for my seat. It may take me 20 to 40 years to get there, but I'm coming for my seat. I will not be denied, and my children will have a seat as well. So I'm coming for my seat. My question is, are you ready? Are you ready? Because what I want to do at that table, you may not be ready for it. You may not be ready for it. And you may be surprised that you will agree to it, that you'll be very agreeable to it. So, hey, let's maximize, let's grow, let's build. So you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.